Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to F.E.A.R. Let's resume the game. So it seems like we just now got into the ooh, this feels a little clunky. Maybe that's because I was crouched down. We've just now gotten into the American location where there's something in the water. We don't fully know what it is, but I assume it's probably something that one way or the other helps Alma do her thing. And we're just kind of following Fenton Paxton down his path of capturing people, torturing them, and then we see these corpses after the fact. And we've seen that multiple times. In a funny way, I think that is kind of... This feels very familiar. This feels like kind of what you did in Condemned Criminal Origins also, but it made more sense because you are a investigator at that point. A detective following a murderer. Here you're a military guy. And I mentioned let's see, just a can getting knocked up. I mentioned the series. Guess we'll take that so we can take this first aid kit. Notice how they've censored all of these posters, by the way. Like, clearly their first intent would have been to have some kind of pinup art here, some kind of female character. And the fact that they're just showing tools presents a weird world where people who are generally mechanics, who are generally men, let's face it, we'll not get into the reasons why that is, somehow are fetishizing tools over women, pinup girls. That makes no sense. But then otherwise, military-wise, all the people we're fighting are the same generic male character, and most, with the exception of one or two named characters, have been male. So this still is very dude heavy, which makes sense for a 15-year-old game. It wasn't right 15 years ago or 14 years ago, but it makes sense. Here we've got some phone numbers that almost certainly you wouldn't have been able to read that in its original release. But yeah, the Dead Space series, Dead Space 3 and F.E.A.R. 1 feel like they're almost intentional bookmarks. This is an interesting thing there where I stopped moving. We're seeing that they're placing mines now, so we're gonna have to be very careful about where we walk, or we're gonna have to quick save, and if we have to quick save, then that's gonna suck, because then I'll probably need to either use the keyboard also, or sacrifice a button for a quick save. Yeah, in a weird way, they went full circle with Dead Space 3, because they turned what was an occurrence in Dead Space 1 and most of Dead Space 2, where you were alone, or at least in Dead Space 2's case, you were with people that you couldn't really trust to not be your enemy. And Dead Space 3 turned it into a full-on microtransaction developed or built around the microtransactions. In fact, co-op militaristic shooter, which just does not work as well with the horror elements. Feel like I need to probably exit out of this game, but I don't know when I'd have a good point to do that. Like, the game is gonna save whenever it wants to save, and it's not really loading as far as showing a loading screen, so it's actually doing some progressive loading, which is interesting because we get games even nowadays that don't seem to be capable of doing that, and often they will. We're still seeing a lot of annoying load screens. It's just weird that it's so much silence. It's just like falling action. Just so we can walk around and maybe forget about this. So are these pure avoidance things, or are these things that we get rid of some other way? Let's grab these grenades. We definitely want that. So it's weird, certainly, to have this probably be groundbreaking and new technology introducing 14 years, and then it kind of quickly go full cycle and people get...
Just lost Yankowski's signal. Maybe his gear got damaged. Maybe. Fire and rescue guys are here. Once they've got the fire under control, we can check the rubble.
Let them handle it. I need you on standby to head inside armor camp as soon as the site is secure.
Roger.
See, we're really just hearing the audio. We're not reporting back, which seems weird. And feels like this probably would be the good point for them to introduce some kind of monster, some kind of different type of enemy that would give us something to deal with. Let's see if we can beat the rat. No, not really. Like, if this was a Resident Evil game, you would expect there'd be some kind of mutant zombie dogs right about now. But instead we're kind of running into nothing. This might be a shortcut, or it might be nothing at all. Seems like they're needing to repeat enough content. So was that a hallucination, or do we have some kind of invisible enemies now? Invisible enemies that wouldn't make any noise and wouldn't cause us any trouble, I guess. And more it feels like these gates are just here to depict ways of blocking things. Notice how dark it is down this end, particularly with the light off. Then it seems like they adjusted the illumination there to make it darker. I just shot at the shadow of a character. I'm seeing a lot of shadows and having a hard time seeing enemies otherwise. Where is he? Up here? We might have hit the point where it stops being realistic to continue to play the game with the gamma as low as we have it. Like it's stopping being really useful. There we go. There's a 14-year-old game glitch. Just have a guy hanging here. So yeah, we may have hit the as far as we can go with this level of darkness. It seems like there's a couple different paths here, and doesn't seem like there's any real reason to not. Okay, so this is just a looping area. That's a looping area that goes here. And then that's another mine. So let's go down. We actually haven't seen me take any fall damage, so probably would be wiser. This will be funny if this doesn't let me climb. Nope, of course not. Just no clip right through the character. What's funny is that seems like that would allow me to shoot it, because the lock was clearly hanging below. And let's be honest here, if you were gonna shoot a seems like they put this here specifically to block you. Interesting. No, well, they failed miserably if they were supposed to block me that way. So this is where the guy was that he fell downward, or whatever ghost that was that we saw. Are ghosts supposed to be something that points me into a direction I'm supposed to go, or are ghosts just there for the cheap jump scare? I really don't feel like Condemned Criminal Origin, and this is a weird way for me to cover this game, but like, I think in comparison, I feel like Condemned Criminal Origin never went for the cheap jump scare, and it feels like this game is constantly going for the cheap jump scare. Just something falling over, or a hallucination or something. Oh. Let's go ahead and heal and pick up. Oh, I got full health when I upgraded my max health there. Alright. So it's important when in interactive media, more than any other form of media, where like movies, books, music, even like any of those mediums, you don't have to have an element of actual danger or dangerous feelings in your content. I wonder what would happen if I would fall down there. I probably would just die. I'm just gonna have to assume that because I'm not willing to risk it and then have to reload. So when I see a jump scare in this game, but then have been pretty much trained that, with the exception of that one cutscene where Alma throws me backwards, all the other cutscenes that are spooky don't hurt me. Okay. It's not easy, but we can shoot these grenades, and that will blow up this, which now we've got reset circuits on certain things. I don't feel like that has been a possibility throughout the rest of the game, though. That seems unrealistically. There you go.
Alright, it's uploading. Remember that wastewater report I mentioned? A little more info here. Contamination seems to originate in the Auburn area. That place is practically deserted nowadays. Probably not a coincidence.
So, yeah, we're still moving the story along pretty slowly. And I guess this is where we started. So man, I really wish I had infinite flashlight at this point. It's not doing me any good. Alright, we need to take a moment. Yeah. It's time to adjust the gamma. Like, if we are running into problems, let's go 1, 2. If we're running into problems and we're constantly having to turn on the flashlight to see even a little bit, then we've crossed that level. So that opens this passageway, or we can go this passageway. All this really boils down to is, are we going to get the drop on the next section of enemies? These split paths probably wasted a lot of resources, if I was just to venture a guess. And had they gone with a more... This is like a sniper gun. Interesting. Had they gone with just a more linear experience, I'm seeing a lot of screen tearing in this section. Yeah, more linear experience feels like something that would have probably been better for their development cycle instead of the split level design. And sure, it might have been a selling point. Now that's an automatic. I was not expecting an automatic sniper rifle, but I do like the scope. That's a weird gun. And Paxton is really just trying to run away, which, generally speaking, means just like hitting some of these guys in the head, and it's still not good enough. And problem with this is, if you're not if you're not trying to zoom in, then you're left with a gun that's actually not that useful. The idea of an automatic with a scope is a weird customization that you would more want to allow a game player to experiment with instead of having as a default option. Of course, this game may just be so old that allowing people to customize their weapons wasn't reasonable, and I would agree that's probably the case. By the looks of everything else they did a finish in this game, having customization to weapons. While nice, wouldn't really work. I only have 11 shots here, so probably is a better idea to pick up the shotgun. The shotgun being the opposite of an automatic with a scope, but making still a decent amount of sense. It just feels like it's going to be a while before they throw anything new at me, although this does kind of feel like this might be a boss fight area. And if they do throw something new at me, it kind of feels like it has to be Paxton Fettel himself, because he kind of has to have some kind of psychic ability to slow down time that makes him move really fast or something along that line, because if I just ran into him and he has just a significantly higher amount of bullets or armor, that's not a real big change. So there's 2 entrances into this area, and seems like what happens is these guys get staggered, and then if you hit them while they're staggered, they'll die, but otherwise then it's resolving to a more standard health amount. Let's just open this. It's not enough of these guys to even matter. There we go. They brought in a bunch of people, and I think I shot most of them with the grenade. So just a well-placed grenade to where they were landing, which is, I guess, possibly a Geneva Convention violation if they were military combatants, like, which I don't think they qualify as. But yeah, shooting people that are parachuting would be a Geneva Convention violation, so I don't see a reason why grenading a group of people exiting an airplane would be much different. These guys' arms very wildly flap. I cannot see amongst all this dust. There's probably some of settings here. Since I have everything at maximum, you might have a better experience if you turn some of the settings off. Like, the dust idea should, in theory, be in the game, but in practical implementation, if you could just turn off dust that gets shot up, you would have a better experience. So the only thing that would be interesting here is if we got to the final boss fight and Alma killed Paxton Fettel and all the men right as you're about to die, and saves you. That would be kind of cool, but I don't think it's like something that would make for a great boss fight. like all that smoke. Now, do I have any limit on my time slowing down ability? I don't feel like I do. So it kind of feels like I could probably just use time slowdown whenever I felt like it to take out every single one of these groups, and it would almost feel like they're inviting you to find a solution to a puzzle, something a la Super Heart. Let's see. I am totally out of bullets. Interesting. Let's see. So I'm just gonna run towards this guy until he's dead. And let's see. There's another guy over here. So, yeah, there's a gun over there I could pick up, but I'm not gonna bother. Yeah, there's... Guess we'll just run into more of these heavy armored guy, but in all fairness, I am playing on easy. That still felt way too easy. It felt like there should have been some kind of challenge, and it's just not there. Game balance.
I'm showing a decent-sized yard just ahead of my point man's current position. Only problem is there's an enemy gunship sitting there at the moment. I'll keep you advised. Roger.
So am I supposed to go take out that enemy gunship? These rooms feel very copy and paste. These are the better guns, but they would require better shots. Then again, I guess it doesn't matter if you run out of bullets. Doesn't matter what happens. We're just setting up for the next cutscene, in-game cutscene, spooky thing to happen, and then we'll hit a save spot, and that'll be the end of that. This is the first time we've seen the Coca-Cola machines, or the vending machines, knocked over, which implies something. I don't know exactly what, but see, if you need it to save, doesn't that tell you that this is probably going to be the final boss fight? Which I'm fine with that. Like, it makes sense. I don't know at what point these would have been useful. That's a good question to ask. Like, when was I supposed to place all of those items? And it looks like if we jump through this window, we might get a better start point. So, come on. So you can't jump the window, it's just showing you that it's there. Alright, fair enough. Let's see. I won't work. This is blocked though. So it has to be over here. Man, they seem to now have a new penchant for asking me to run over in this area. I can get up here. Well, I really couldn't make it up there. And crouching down. Oh man. That was a nightmare. Alright. Let's just slow things down. Shoot people. Takes about 3 shots. But see, now I can just slow down again. I guess it does. I guess my energy recharge might still require some. I feel like I may have just shot Paxton Fettel himself and it not mattered at all. Alright. Let's run over here. Pick up this, and then use our health pad. Alright. What's weird is I don't really have any more grenades. Alright. So we need a gun. I assume. Because I am totally out of guns. And we're just now straight up punching people. And if we slow down over here, we'll try and run towards this guy. There we go. So but I don't feel like I placed the other grenades I had picked up, so I don't know what happened to those guys. Like, where's all those little mines? I don't know if this guy's dead or not. And it's so easy to pick off these other guys that you might as well just kill everybody except for the super strong guy. It almost feels like, yeah, almost feels like he's just not taking any damage at all.
Looks like the HLZ is clear. Copy, Alma. Approach. Keep your eyes Blackhawk. Good. Head to ATC headquarters and find F.E.A.R.
So it seems like we're actually going to get a level here. And they're finally done with us being in that same area, which was not Americam. So I don't even know where that was. Let's see. F.E.A.R. combat operative is en route to American headquarters with SFOD escort. F.E.A.R. technical officer is on standby. No further information from inside the American. The assault team will approach American headquarters by helicopter and attempt to make a rooftop entry. Securing F.E.A.R. remains a top priority. F.E.A.R. point man will attempt to determine the status of the missing SFOD team and ascertain the nature of the threat in order to recommend military response. Odd that they'd be asking me for military recommendations when I don't seem like I'm capable of even talking. So we've got a cutscene here.
Dad, Mother, what can you tell us about your recon team? We were monitoring them on the
Another one of
security network
these.
when we lost contact. Now the
It is
entire
nighttime
system is
now.
offline. Any news on the bad guys?
This helicopter is flying at an odd angle. It looks to me like this entire section of the city is flooded or on the riverbank. So I don't know if this was supposed to be in some kind of post-global climate change future where the ice caps have melted. So it's just gonna throw you into a fight. Let's clear out this area and then we'll end the recording after this. Oops, I was killed. Alright, well, it does feel like the game is going to get more difficult going forward. A little bit. But I am starting to, frankly, have some trouble getting through this game too. We needed some major changes, and I don't feel like I just did some DLC levels and this is the beginning of the real game. If anything, I might be more willing to just straight up skip the rest of this game and jump into F.E.A.R. 2. That might be the better way to play it, because yeah, right now we're seeing the same thing over and over again. We have, fingers crossed, a small chance that we won't be seeing the same thing over and over again inside the American business building, but I doubt it. I imagine it's still the same military guys. We'll probably see a third tier enemy that's introduced, but I think that's pretty much all that we can really expect, is more of the same, at least until we get out of the DLC. Maybe once we get into the main game, there's a little bit more polish and a little bit more of a story being told. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the section where there is no extra story written, but that's pretty bad DLC. But that is kind of what some of the DLC was 14 years ago, when they were just starting to introduce the concept of DLC. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.